Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Pittsburgh Public Schools Future Ready Facilities discussion. Today is Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. Tonight is the next step in a process that we have been undertaking for the last, 15 or 16 months with the idea of reimagining and reconfiguring what our school district looks like so that we can provide the highest quality education for all of our kids. There are a few, before we start, there are a few kind of steps that are still yet to come. At last month's legislative meeting, the board voted on a resolution that put two requirements in place before a vote on any school closures can happen. The first is a vote to approve the reconfiguration plan, which is this Future Ready facilities plan. And then the second is to approve an implementation plan. And I think there was some discussion on whether or not that was just an approval or a vote, and I just wanted to clear that up. I do expect that there will be a resolution at some point this year to formally vote on the implementation plan in conjunction with the facilities, with the Future Ready plan. And I expect that to happen prior to any school closure vote. But those dates are still up in the air, depending on how soon the superintendent and his team deliver the required information to us. So hopefully that clears up some confusion if there was any. Tonight, also at that meeting, the school board directors agreed to submit a list of proposed requirements for the implementation and Future Ready plan that needed to be met prior to any additional votes. Those submissions were submitted on July 3rd. They were then transmitted to the superintendent a few days later, and then a final initial copy of that was posted to our website last night for public viewing in advance of tonight's meeting. Tonight, we have our friends from the Council of Great City Schools here to help facilitate this conversation, to guide us through our discussion and our thinking, with the hopes and goals that by the end of this meeting, we will have a concrete list of expectations for the superintendent and his team to then work on to provide the information that's necessary for us to continue to move forward. And so with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Ray Hart and Mr. Ben Mackey to lead us through this really important discussion with the board. Thank you, sir.
Good morning. Thank you, President Walker, and to the members of the board. Thank you for having us. And we look forward to sharing, as you shared earlier, my colleague Ben Mackey is on. We also have another colleague, Alka Pateria, who will be assisting us as we go through the process, who is on. So I just want to let you know from the council staff who is on. I just want to give you a quick background. We are familiar with the document that the board shared in getting all of your individual feedback on next steps for the implementation plan. Our goal here tonight is to facilitate a conversation with the board that would then ensure that not every individual idea is shared from the board to the district, but that the priorities of the board and the board majority are shared with the district. And so we'll walk you through a process now of helping you identify what those priorities might be, and then how those priorities will be communicated to the district. The important thing here is to note that as you move forward, what you want to make sure you're doing as a board is communicating the wishes of the board as a whole, and not necessarily the wishes of every single individual board member. And that's the process that we'll walk you through to ensure that that you've done that. What I can assure you this evening is, I can assure you, it may turn out to be the case. It will likely turn out to be the case that not every single idea that was shared will be a part of what's finally conveyed to the district. However, I can assure you that every single idea will be considered as a part of this process. So you can rest assured that we will make sure we do a thorough job of making sure that the board considers as a whole every idea that comes up that came up and that will come up during the conversation this evening. We'll start with a process that will help narrow down your suggestions into the top priorities, and then we'll open up the floor for anything else that you would like to add to that. And so we'll start that process now. Before I begin, I want to turn the floor over to Ben Mackey to see if there's anything he would like to add before we get started with the process.
Thank you for that. And no, it's great to be with you all today or tonight. The only thing I would add is that this is a board responsibility to get clear on what it is asking the superintendent. So while the superintendent and team might chime in, we will make sure at the end of the meeting to make sure the superintendent and his team are able to ask clarifying questions, because again, they have to make sure they understand what the board's expectation is and push the board. It is not their job to sort through that and figure it out. That's an impossible task. Additionally, there's obviously costs. There's always costs. For every decision we have, there are trade-offs that we must make. So the superintendent may have ideas, or that might be a later thing to say, like, what's the cost of doing X versus doing Y, or getting X versus getting Y, etc. So we will lean on Dr. Walters and his team towards the end, though feel free to jump in. But again, I just want to highlight that it is the responsibility and the requirement of the board to get clear on what the board as a collective is expecting before charging the superintendent with that.
Thank you. So we'll dive in. And the first thing that we're going to ask you as members to do, as board members, and this is for each board member, both online as well as the board members here, the list that has been generated, you all have before you. We want to ask you to take a moment to highlight or look at four items that you think are imperative to include in the request to the district for the implementation plan. And we want to ask you to write those either on a notepad or a notepad in front of you in 6 words or less, in 6 words or less. And this is the fun challenge. In 6 words or less, write down 4 things that you think are critical to include in the implementation plan. You remember I said to you earlier, don't worry about whether we're going to cover everything. You will have an opportunity to do that. But for now, we want to get the top 4 items that you believe in 6 words or less needs to be included in the board implementation, in the implementation plan. And we'll go around the room and collect those. We'll type those on the screen in a few moments, but want to give you a few moments to write on your pads, 6 words or less, the top 4 things that you think need to be, make sure are included. Any questions about that?
Is that 6 words per idea?
Yes, it is 6 words per idea. So you can have a total of 24 words. Total of 24, if my math is correct.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you say 4 items, are you meaning the categories or the individual?
No, the individual,
Okay.
don't worry about the categories. The categories we'll deal with later. Don't worry about the categories. Just 4 items from under any one of the categories that you think is critical in 6 words or less.
Okay.
6 words or less. When you've got it, if you could just give me a thumbs up, we'll get started. As well as online, if you could let us know when you're ready to start, we'll go ahead and get started. I see some folks counting words, so I'll give you a second and give me a thumbs up when we're ready. Thumbs up. All set? Good. Okay, and hopefully we're ready online with Director Udine and Director Petrowski. What we're going to do now is I'm going to I've asked Ben to share his screen. What we're going to do now is capture the 4 items that you have identified. We'll do a round robin. We'll start with those who are in the room, and then we'll finish with those who are online to capture the round robin. We're going to number each of them 1 through however many we end up with. What I'd ask you to do is 2 things. The first of which is, as we go around, only share 1 of your suggested items at a time. So we'll start probably to my left, and then we'll just share 1 item. You may have an item that's similar to that. You may have the same idea, but you change 2 words. We will allow you to make friendly amendments if you want to add a word, but just hold on. We'll do that at the end of the process. So we'll allow you to make friendly amendments to your peers' suggestions if you want to add a word, take away a word. The second thing I would ask is you only have 4 items. If someone selects one of yours, that means you've got to cross that one out as one you would share and go on to your second, your third, or your fourth. Does that make sense? If you have something that someone else has already shared, just skip that one, go on to your second, and we'll exhaust all of your list. I will, again, share that don't worry if there's something, again, that you want to include that you didn't get on your 4, it doesn't get in the final list, we will go back at the end of this process to give you an opportunity to share anything you like. Question?
Yeah, thanks. Just a clarifying question. So if somebody shares an idea that is similar to one we have on our list, your suggestion is to cross it off and move to the next one. And then at the end of the process, if the wording of theirs differed slightly, we can
Yes.
workshop it, but rather than have 2 like similar or redundant ones, we
Correct.
should save it. Got it. Thank you.
That's correct. And we will, so you see on the left, we're going to do a process that will help us get to the most important ones. But you'll see we got them numbered number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Before we go through the process to identify the priorities, we will allow you to make friendly amendments to those that are on the screen. All right, any questions about that process? All right, we will start to my left.
I have realistic timeline that articulates early wins.
So a realistic timeline that articulates early wins. There we go, number 2.
I didn't understand the assignment. Because that's not what I did. So pass for now.
Pass, okay. President Walker.
Updated staffing projections to support implementation.
Updated staffing projections to support implementation.
Evidence that resources will be distributed equitably.
Evidence that resources will be distributed equitably.
I probably did what Devin did, so I took the ideas from the list, and I just said that staff support ensures student stability.
Staff support ensures student stability? Stability, okay.
I will add support for our highest need students.
Support for our highest need students.
Yes.
Online, we'll go with Director Udine. Would you like to share?
Yes, my first one is to eliminate academic disparities.
You said to eliminate academic disparities?
Yes.
Okay. And Director Petrowski?
It says full-time project managers.
Full-time project managers?
Correct.
And
Real quick, can we take are we done with the first round yet, or do we have some few more in the first round?
just want to make sure, we have one more, and then just want to make sure Director Walker's not online. I don't think he is. But
Community-led engagement and outreach plan.
community-led engagement and outreach plan. And go ahead, Ben.
I was going to say, before we move on to the next one, again, keeping in mind that the purpose here is to identify the concrete items that this board would need before it votes on any kind of facilities, plan or closures, etc. I would love to pause before we jump in to going to the next round and see if anyone has any questions on these and exactly what they are referring to, or is everybody clear what each mean by the ones here as it relates to the deliverables we're going to be asking of the superintendent for this plan.
Can you put them back on the screen?
Can you, I'm not sure if, Ben, you were sharing your screen or if Alka was, but if you could see them.
I think someone has to pin
There we
it.
go. We got it. We got it. It's back up. So we've got, and if you could, I'm not sure who's on Excel, but if you could zoom in a little bit with your Excel so we eliminate the scoring numbers on the right, that'll make it a little bigger on our screen. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. So we've got realistic timeline that articulates early wins, updated staffing projections to support implementation, evidence that resources will be distributed equitably, staff support ensures student stability, support for our highest need students, eliminate academic disparities, full-time project managers, and community-led engagement and outreach plan. Yes, go ahead.
I have a clarifying question on I guess on 3 and 7. So on 3, what does the evidence, what would that evidence look like? And on number 7, I think that Director Petrowski, that was you, so I'll go to that one first. So are you saying that you would want to hire consultants for this?
I don't think it necessarily has to be consultants, but I think we need dedicated staff because right now it seems that we're pulling staff from their regular duties. And that inhibits them from doing their regular job in addition to what would be required of this plan.
Got it.
That's my thought process.
Thanks. And then my other question is on what does the evidence for equitable resource distribution look like?
Yeah, so I think that first we'd have to determine what it is that kids are going to get, like what are we going to do for our for each of our student sort of grade bands, and then evidence that if we have that the resources are distributed equitably, evidence that every kid, especially those who have greatest need, will get what they need in order to have a high-quality education. So first we'd have to do some just basic level setting. What is it that we think every kid needs? And then make sure that we distribute resources in a way that every kid is getting what he or she needs, or they need.
Thank you.
And as we go through this process, may I add one clarifying point as well? What we're doing now is making sure the board is clear on its ask of the superintendent and superintendent's team. That doesn't necessarily guarantee that the superintendent and superintendent's team can answer every question that the board asks. So I just want to be clear that we want to make sure the board is clear on its ask, but it may not necessarily mean that you'll get an answer to every single one of your requests. So it's okay to ask for it as a full board, but the district will have to convey, here's what we are able to give you, here's what we're not. That's a separate conversation.
One additional point I would want to add on that is we've talked a lot about who is responsible for the outcomes of the system. Who is responsible? That's a question.
Was that it, Ben?
Who is responsible for the outcomes of a system? Who
Oh,
owns
you
the
were
outcome?
asking us a question. Okay.
I am asking you a question.
I was confused for a second.
who owns the outcomes of the school system?
Oh, the superintendent,
No.
the school board.
The school board owns the outcomes. You are responsible in Pennsylvania law to set the vision, direction, and goals of the organization. Those are the outcomes. Who owns the inputs of a school system and how we get there?
That would be the superintendent.
The superintendent is hired to run the day-to-day and manage the how that we get there. And the board owns making sure that we actually do get there, we're making progress. So as we think about these, for instance, on line number 7, there's a difference between saying, I expect the superintendent to implement this by hiring full-time project managers. That's a board getting involved in the inputs, versus I'm concerned about the staff that this is going to take to do this. What we need before we can make a decision is the plan for how this project will be managed, and it's up to the superintendent to identify that and kind of answer that question to the board because he is responsible for the how. So I would encourage us as we think about each of these, again, to reframe the purpose here. This is to be very concrete about what we are expecting the superintendent and his team to produce so that this board has what it needs to make decisions as it relates to the facilities. And so we've got to keep it in mind with the what information we are asking for versus the how I as an individual might want it to happen.
All right. So with that, we will do our second round robin.
Well, can I ask, I needed to ask.
2 clarifying
Yeah,
questions. Go ahead.
one is I would be curious how we would define realistic when we're talking about timelines. And then the second is I'm not sure how we would demonstrate the elimination of academic disparities in any plan.
So I think for a couple of things, as I read these are things that the board would expect to see in the implementation plan that comes from the district. And so, or at least see them addressed. As I shared earlier, there may be things that rise to the level of importance that the full board wants to see, and we haven't gotten to that place yet. So as a full board, you may decide that these aren't things we want to see. But for those things that do rise, we will make sure that the district understands clearly what the board will be asking. And the second thing that we'll do is make sure that, for example, with realistic timeline, you aren't telling the superintendent what the timeline will be, but you are expecting to see in the implementation plan what the timeline is. And so in terms of realistic, it won't be necessarily, here is the definition of a realistic timeline, but more, can you give us a timeline as a board? You'll have to determine whether you agree that it's realistic, vote it up or down. But what you're articulating is we'd like to see a timeline. Does that make sense? Oh, you were next. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I also just want to speak to that, given that was one of my offerings, and I have not been shy about expressing concern about most of the closures and changes in the current iteration of the plan happening in a single year. I think it is certainly fine for the leadership team to offer any kind of timeline that they think is best, and the shorter, the more aggressive the timeline that we then need to approve, that requires more detail to help me understand how that is viable. So it could be a more aggressive timeline is viable because we're planning on restructuring staff. We're planning on hiring a ton of consultants. We have free support from 3 universities that we don't know about yet. So to me, something is realistic when it is clear to somebody outside of the leadership team that we can see a path for how we can make this happen. Yeah. My clarifying question. I just wanted to hear a little bit more in light of the frame. If these ideas are, my understanding is this is what we would need in order to make an informed vote up or down on an implementation plan. to hear a little bit more about what that would look like in terms of, I agree with the statement, staff support ensures student stability, and I'm just wondering if you could speak a little bit more to what you meant by that, or we're hoping to see in the implementation plan.
Can I hold off on that
Oh.
question? I know we're going through each of one of these one at a time. If we can, let's go through the round robin, and then I'll give you an opportunity to ask clarifying questions on the full list rather than doing it every 8. Does that make sense?
Sure, I thought that's what we were doing.
Yep,
All right,
we
I'll
are.
move on to my next
We
one.
are, because we kind of dove into a different conversation, but.
Got it.
You had
Okay.
a question, we had one more question before we go do the next round robin.
Well, I don't know if my question qualifies for this next round or the current round we're in. But the first one, I know you kind of were explaining a little bit more, but it probably confused me more than it helped a little bit. Because I don't understand that the articulates early wins part, like what that actually would mean in terms of a timeline. I think that one is confusing to me.
So can
But-
you hold that question
Yeah.
till we finish the round robin? And then I will go through all of them and ask folks to clarify so that we all understand what each one means.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, you're second.
My second, financial planning with multi-year projections.
And we can scroll down a little bit so that we can see, if you don't mind, in Excel. Perfect. Can you scroll down in Excel so we can see 9, 10, 11, and 12 on our screens? So financial planning with multi-year projections? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, use microphones. A clear, comprehensive transportation planning, not a.
Clear, I'm not catching your second word.
Clear, comprehensive transportation planning.
Clear, comprehensive transportation plan. Thank you.
An updated proposed daily schedule for each grade band.
An updated proposed daily schedule for each grade band.
I'm looking for the ones that are incredibly different, but I guess, this is sort of related to the first one I mentioned, but like a clear indication of how this will improve students' experience.
Can we augment well, we'll capture it this way and then we'll combine it later. Go ahead, Ms. Wilson, Director Wilson.
Clearly identified attendance zones.
Clearly identified attendance zones.
Support for principals, teachers, and staff.
Support for principals, teachers, and staff.
Yeah.
And online, Director Udine.
Eliminate physical violence disparities.
Eliminate physical violence disparities.
Yes.
And Director Petrowski.
I think she had to step away from
Step
her
away.
computer for a second, yeah.
Okay. We'll do a second round robin. You're out? Okay. Second round robin. You have another one? Or third, actually a third round. So you're out, one out.
I feel like this is different than the one that's up there, about financial, whatever it was, but cost of renovation for each building.
What was the previous one around cost?
It was the financial planning with multi-year projections. I feel like I don't know if it's different or the same.
Okay.
I couldn't really.
So we'll go ahead and add cost of renovations for each building. Okay. Out. Director Reed.
This is probably related to supporting principals, teachers, and staff, but.
So is this one of the 4 you wrote down, or is this one that you have on the list?
No, this is
Okay.
one of the 4 I wrote
Okay.
down. This is a toolkit for staff and administrators to communicate with families. in
A toolkit for staff and administrators to communicate with families? Families in the community. Director Wilson?
Already? I only have one left, and sort of similar, but not exactly. I have grade bands to focus student support.
Is that similar to the, what was the previous grade band?
Well, he said daily schedule, and I'm not talking about the daily schedule.
You're talking about student supports?
Yes.
Okay. So grade, identifying grade band
Grade bands to focus
to focus
student support.
student supports. So identifying grade bands to focus student supports, got it? You're out? All right. Director Udine?
Increase community engagement.
Increase community engagement. You have any others? You have any others, or are you out?
Who, me? That's my second one, no, third one, I guess.
Okay, we're going back around again. I know you're out. So you have any others?
Yes.
President Walker? Director Reed? No more? No more? Okay. Director Udine?
Improve data transmission to the board.
Improve data transmission to the board. All right. Do you have any others? I think that's 4, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now we'll go back. So we'll quickly go back to clarify. So now we'll start with the first one. So we can ask a clarifying question on the first one. I want to clarify to make sure we understand what each one of these mean. The other thing that we want to do as we do this process is I'll ask you if there are others that we can combine. So we'll do 2 things at the same time. We will say, can this be combined? It can only be combined by the authors. Does that make sense? Meaning that one thing can only be combined with another if the person who made that suggestion actually agrees to the combination. Does that make sense to everyone? So it can only be combined by the authors, but we'll ask for clarification and then combinations. So a realistic timeline that articulates early wins. We know there was a question here about that, so do you want to go back and address that question?
Sure. Yeah. The early wins part is similar, I think, to what Dr. Reed was raising about making the benefits of these changes really clear. So I would be interested in a timeline that highlighted, hey, here's some benefits that students and families and teachers and principals will experience in year 1, in year 2, so that we, as we're going through these changes, we can have a sense of what we are looking forward to.
Does that help?
Yeah, I guess I can live with it.
Okay.
I guess.
So realistic timeline articulates early wins, updated staffing projections to support implementation. Any questions about that one?
Can we go back to the first one?
Yep, we can go back to the first one.
Because I think that there is some, like, I think that there are also things that can be done now, like, that can be done for the next school year, right? That kind of, so I wanted to make sure that that was part of what.
Agreed.
So it's like year 0, yes, year 0, year 1.
So this was yours, so are you comfortable with that edit?
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, so questions on the updated staffing projections. When you say staffing, Director Talaferro, is that referring to, that was,
It's not, yeah, it's
sorry.
not.
Are you referring to like school staff or administration staff who are working on the plan? Yes, and?
So this is, yeah, this idea is primarily around staffing of the schools to support the implementation of the Future Ready plan and all the things that we say is going to happen.
All right, any questions about that one? All right, and can that one be combined with the first, or is it a separate idea? Separate idea? All right. How about the third? Evidence that resources, my screen is scrolling. Evidence that resources will be distributed equitably. Any questions about that? And is it a different idea than the first two?
Because resources have to be distributed, and it has to be planned once the implementation is done. I don't know how you can say, I want to see the evidence for that until something has happened. I'm just questioning that.
So basically, what I would like to see is if, for example, we say that we are going to make sure that kids have a richer literacy experience, K to 3. And we know there are schools that have historically suffered in literacy. Then how are we distributing resources such that all the schools are going to have that rich literacy experience? So I think I was thinking more that we have to be defining what it is we're going to do and improve, and then seeing, are we thinking about even how staff is distributed to make sure that we can get there with various populations of kids. If we have lots of English language learners, then we have to staff differently that's just what I was thinking.
I kind of understand that, but I'm also thinking the fact that we have curriculum that has been identified and in place. And if literacy is a strength, that's part of the curriculum that would be in place. So to me, that's not evidence so much as that's what the direction of the district is.
Right,
So-
but we can't distribute those things
Yeah,
either.
so just to be clear, this is not a debate about the item itself. It's just to make sure before you vote, you have a clear understanding of what the item is. Does that make sense? Is that different than the first two? Yep, okay. On number two?
No, on the third one.
On the third one, yes.
So I wanted to just further make sure that I'm understanding. So one way that I think I see this showing up in the current plan is we are proposing a number of significant changes. One of the purposes of those changes, whether the closures, the restructuring, is to increase the student population in our buildings so that we can better support students in those buildings. There are some outliers. Even if we do all of these things, we know today that there will still be some buildings that won't have the student population that we're saying is kind of in the best zone. And so if we want to still serve those students at the same level as the other schools that will have a higher population, that we would need to see evidence in the plan of some intervention, some mitigating factor. We're not dictating what it is, but that we would need to understand as a board, hey, what are we going to do about these schools when we restructure, when we do all these things, and they're still in this condition? How do we know what's going to happen so that we can be confident that they will still receive the resources and learning opportunities that other schools will give? Is that on point? Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything else on number 3? If not, we'll move to number 4. Staff support ensures student stability. Everyone clear on what that means? The next one is,
No, pause.
sorry, is not.
Can you
Sorry.
elaborate a little bit more on what that would look like?
If the staff is unsure about what's going on in the district, then they can certainly put a kibosh on everything's going on. So if staff is very clear on what is happening, they in turn will make sure that students are learning, and that's where the student's ability is. If teachers don't know, they'll be all over the place, and the kids, of course, what they get will be all over the place. So you have to have some staff support so that they understand what's going on, and they in turn also do that for their students.
So
Got it.
do you mind if we make a friendly amendment to this today, to
Certainly.
say staff clarity and
Okay.
support to
Sure.
ensure student stability?
Can
Well, you
I-
know, it's so hard when you're only trying to get 6 words in.
I know,
You
so I tried to keep it within 6. I think that's within 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got it at 6 with the ampersand.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion? The second one that I proposed was support for principals, teachers, and staff. I don't know what number that ended up on the, there it is, number 14. To me, those are both the same, so I'd be
Okay.
happy to combine those, because now that you've clarified it, I realize she's talking about making sure that our school staff feels supported. So I think we can
Perfect.
combine those somehow.
Thank you very much. Done.
And it's likely that the toolkit is also connected to that, where if staff and if educators understand clearly what's happening, they can communicate that and alleviate some anxiety for students and families.
So the question is, and this is a question I would lead to, I'm not sure who the author of the toolkit was, but a toolkit to help communicate with the community, to me, sounds a little different than making sure staff have what they need. But whoever authored that, I'll allow you to decide whether, okay, I'm sorry. Your microphone is off.
I know, you should have heard me, I was brilliant. I intended that specifically for staff and administrators to communicate with students and families, but it does make sense that communicating with the community it would be different, so we'll leave it there.
Okay. So then we are on number.
Real quick, we have Mr. Udine has raised his hand, so I want to make
Oh,
sure he
thank
has-
you very much, Ben.
No,
Do you
I'm
need
not-
clarification on, I think we're on number 4?
Mr. Udine, did you mean to raise your hand?
no, I lowered it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Number 5, support for our highest need students. All right, no clarity needed there. Number 6.
Wait, sorry, Devin looked like maybe she was gonna ask a question.
Thank you for reading my face. I guess it's not so much clarity. Well, highest need students, like how do we define highest need students? I guess is probably maybe more clarity. I was
Happy-
just trying to, the highest need student registered differently in my mind first time, and now it's coming in a different direction. So what is highest need?
Yeah.
How do we define highest need student, and what does that mean?
Happy to elaborate. So in my mind, this includes our Black students and our lower income students who we know tend to perform not as well in school as our white students and our higher income students. To me, this also means our English language learner students, students who have IEPs, not restricted to those groups, but those are the groups that pop into my mind that specifically I'm thinking about those students. I want to see how we're going to support those students who, for them, school may be a very stable place, how we're going to support them through the shakeup of that stability.
Okay, thank you.
And if
That-
people want to add additional groups to that, I welcome it, but those were the 3 groups that stuck out in my head.
Okay, that makes sense for the back half of the thought that I had. My front half heard highest need students differently, as in the students who are already doing well in life, I suppose. So anyways, thank you. I support that, number 5. Moving on.
Any other clarity needed on number 5? And is number 5 similar to number 1, 2, 3, or 4? Or is it different? It's different? All right. Item 6, eliminate academic disparities. 2 questions. Are those, is that clear to everyone? And is it different than or similar to 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Is that clear to everyone? It was.
Sorry, I'm like, we don't know what to do. So I feel like eliminating academic disparities is a I don't know how we do that. Like, I feel like it's like a bigger thing than like can be fit into this plan. Maybe steps to, or
I don't think it's asking to, the author will have to correct me. I don't think it's asking to eliminate academic disparities. I think it's asking the plan to address how this transition plan will eliminate academic disparities.
okay, okay.
So these are all things that you're asking the district to address in the plan.
So we would be looking for evidence that academic disparities will be addressed in the plan. Like that's how, is
Okay,
that what
that
we're?
sounds better than like
Is-
we're gonna
that's what we're-
eliminate it
So
all.
don't-
Like
Yeah.
that.
Mr. Dean, as the author, do you have you want to weigh in at all on your intention behind that? And does that make sense with your intention?
I'm not sure. I'm listening to the discussion, but the goal has to be to eliminate.
Yeah, that's a lofty goal.
That's the goal. And we know what the academic disparities are among various groups. But we have to reach for the sky. We have to have high expectations. And I don't want to lower our expectations. That's
So,
why I
Mr.
said
Mr.
eliminate.
Dean, there was a slight amendment. Want to make sure you agree with it to what you suggested. And just for clarity for your colleagues, is it okay to use the language addressing how the plan will support eliminating academic disparities?
That's fine,
That works? Okay.
yes.
Item 7, full-time project managers. Is there clarity around what that means for everyone? I see lots of heads nodding. All right.
I also think that, that rather than saying full-time project managers, we just address the fact that what happens in central office, the staffing of the implementation of this plan will have to be clear before we say yes to go ahead and do it. So not just the staffing at the school level, but the staffing at central office. Like we'll have to see what that needs to look like in order for us to say, yeah, go ahead and do
I
that.
wouldn't change that one. Please keep that one full-time project managers. I'm not sure who's typing. Oh, okay, sorry about that. Keep it full-time project managers. On number 2, it says updated staffing, and then it says for school staff, projections to support implementation. That's just school staff, but, and this is to support implementation. Can we take off the 4 school staff there? And, because it's really for all staff, I think is what you're saying. I'm not sure who authored number 2.
Yeah,
But I'm not sure why we put
I think
4
that would
school
make
staff.
sense if we're able to lump in kind of all of the staffing that's going to be necessary
support implementation.
to actually pull this off. Yeah,
Right, but we have to be clear that
Keep
we're
staffing.
looking at
Keep
all
staffing.
staff.
yeah.
Right, not just,
So you're looking at, yeah, so district, yeah, that's fine. I can support that.
And then I would keep that one, unless, we've got to keep that one. I think Director Petrowski suggested that, so we'll leave it. But just understand that we can't edit it without her being on, so we'll leave it, move on to the next one, but.
I believe
No,
Director
I
Petrowski's
came-
back.
Yes, I came back. It's fine to remove since it's absorbed into, what is it, number 2. That's
Okay,
fine.
thank you.
Thank you.
Community-led engagement and outreach plan. Is that clear to everyone what that is? All right, I think it's clear for me. Financial-
So the district is going to create that?
These are the
Community-led.
things that you want to see in an implementation plan. So these are the things that you want to see in an implementation plan, that the district would work to create a community-led engagement and outreach plan. That means
That
the district's got
doesn't
to work
seem
with the
very
community.
community-led if the district creates it.
Correct.
The district would work
Uh-huh.
with the community to build that.
Okay.
All right. Number 9, financial planning with multi-year projections. Any questions about what that means?
So there are like lots of financial implications. There are like building and construction, there's transportation, there's staff, like there are lots of financial sort of issues that we have to address. So I don't know if this is if this is speaking to all of them or, yeah.
Yeah, I would be curious if this is, the multi-year projection is dealing specifically with our operating or general budget, or are we talking about general and capital? Because we have a capital portion on here, but I don't know if they need to be combined or if they're different.
I ran out of words, so I couldn't say comprehensive. But yeah, I think it would be helpful to understand holistically what are the holistic financial implications of moving forward in this way, regardless of where the monies are coming from, to see the complete financial picture of these choices.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I didn't, one of the ones that I had was really talking about the financial impact of reconfiguration. And so I didn't say it because we already had financial planning up there, so maybe maybe we're looking at, like, what is the impact of implementing the plan versus, looking, 3 or 5 years down the road, like what our projected budget would look like, if that makes sense.
Is it okay to edit that to financial impact instead of financial planning with comprehensive to financial impact with comprehensive multi-year projections?
I'm good with that.
Okay. So we'll say financial impact with comprehensive multi-year projections. Is that similar to any of the previous ones? I don't think it is, but, all right, got a few no's. Clear, comprehensive transportation plan.
My
Right.
only question is, I forget who proposed this, but does this include also walking? Because we talk a lot about busing and like our students taking public transit, but I want to ensure that this also includes making sure that our students have safe ways to walk to school.
Yeah, I believe walking is under transportation, so that would be inclusive of, like, all modes of I mean, I guess if you rode a scooter to school, I guess we might want to coordinate that too, but yes.
Okay. We got it? Any other questions for clarification? Updated proposed daily schedule for each grade band. Any questions about what that means? And I don't think it's similar to any of the previous
Yeah,
ones.
I know what
Cle-
it means, but I also thought it had other implications. That sounds wrong. Because we have collective bargaining, the district, the superintendent and his staff can kind of give some idea, but there's still impact on the teachers in the collective bargaining contract, the agreement. So I just kind of like,
Yeah, I think my idea here was not necessarily like so it was kind of updating so that we would know in the K-5 space, like what is a K-5 space day going to look like, What is a 6 to 8 day going to look like? What is a 9 to 12 day? So it's not necessarily like planning out a full schedule, but kind of updating what that chart looked like that says this is what the day in the life of a K to 5 student will look like. It's probably not the best phrasing, but that was the idea.
All right. Clear indication of how this will improve students' experience. Does everybody have a clear understanding of what that is? Is it similar to anything we talked about previously?
No, when we say when we say this will improve, what is it that we're talking about?
I just want to be clear that this will be better for kids. I want the plan before we say anything is going to change. We are really clear, this plan will make school better for kids, and this is how.
Is that different than how we're addressing academic disparities?
I think so, because I think I think the most recent iteration of the plan has done a much better job of case making and some of these changes are going to be better for all of our students, whereas addressing disparities only benefits subsets of students who are really important to support and help, don't get me wrong. But I think we're making the case that a number of these changes are good for all of our students, and being clear about that, I think, is important.
When we say in this item, this, can somebody define this?
We're talking about the future ready plan, Sala. So
The whole plan?
Yeah. So
Okay.
then the student experience then would also include extracurriculars, after school, just clarifying. Okay, that makes sense.
And for all students. All right, any other questions
Yeah.
about that?
May I ask, is this similar at all to the discussion on number 1 regarding realistic timeline that articulates early wins and benefits in year 0 and in year 1 and in year 2 and so on?
We're doing it by grade band.
Yeah, Ben was asking if this one is similar to number 1. I mean, I think they're close, but I don't know if they're that close. I don't
Okay.
think they're the same, but I could be overruled. I'm happy to be
No,
overruled.
I agree with that assessment, because I think that this item is also, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Reed, but this is also looking at like, in the near term, how is it improving students' experience? And also like in 10 to 15 years, how will PPS students be better off because we made these choices, right? So I think this to me is similar but different enough that it probably warrants keeping it as its own.
All right. Clearly identified attendance zones. Everyone clear on what that means? And
I
are
do
there
have
any?
one question. Are we still differentiating feeder patterns from attendance zones? Or are they essentially the same?
I thought they were different because attendance zones is like the zone for each school, whereas a feeder pattern is like if you go to X elementary, then you go to Y middle, then you go to Z, but somebody from the administration should probably correct me.
Yeah, Dr. Walters, are they fundamentally different? Yeah,
No, they're different.
they are different?
Yes.
So, would be willing, so this is number 13, would we be amenable to adding also feeder patterns to this? So that we
Because I think I was mostly thinking feeder patterns, because this is something I've been hoping for 10 years.
I know it's more than 6 words, but I think if we're going to address kind of where students go to school and how they flow through the system, I think they are similar enough that they could be addressed.
Can this fall under the comprehensive transportation plan? Because, you know, I mean, like, you don't know if you're a walker like based on your attendance zone and your feeder pattern will determine if you're like walking or busing, et cetera.
If I
Yeah.
could
But I also
just,
see how it's different.
Yeah, please, Dr.
yes, just if I could add some context. So the attendance zone is the geographic boundaries that determine what school you attend. The feeder pattern is the default progression, K through 12, of where you would go. So if I'm starting at this school, my progression in the feeder pattern would be this elementary school that leads to this middle school, that leads to this high school. That's a feeder pattern. But the attendance zone is the geographic boundary that determines where, what school you attend.
Then I was probably thinking exactly correct attendance zone in the first place, but it's totally fine to add the feeder zone, the feeder pattern as well.
Yeah, and Director Petrosky, I think it's different than the transportation plan, because we do have to take into account, I think, as we get into middle school and high schools, the existence of magnets and how that's going to affect how we move students through. So I think, in my mind, they're slightly different. Like, we can tell you where you should go to school based off of where you live and how you would progress, but how you get there, I think, is a whole nother set of data points that we probably want to look at.
They're related. They're closely related, but different.
Yeah, different enough. Works for me.
All right. So we've edited that one. We've already combined number 14 with the previous one. Eliminate physical violence disparities. Any questions about what that means? So we talked earlier about the report will address, but this one is eliminating physical violence disparities. Any questions about what that means?
Can the author explain what this means and how we would? I think this was Mr. Udine.
I think it was
I'm
Mr.
the
Udine.
author. Obviously, a culture of physical violence disrupts education, disrupts learning. And it has to be identified as a problem to be solved. Physical violence. There are disparities similar to other disparities, such as racial groups, gender, etc. But we have to identify physical violence as a targeted activity that needs to be addressed.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Udine, can I ask one more question? Would this then, in your mind, would you be looking for kind of some examples of how the Future Ready plan would then address students' safety? Or are you talking specifically around, like, violence?
I'm specifically talking about violence.
All right. All right. Clear? All right. Is this similar to any others? All right. Very different. I see some no's, so it's different. All right. Cost of, I'm scrolling, cost of renovations for each building. Nope. You have a question about that one?
Well, it's my own.
I thought it was your own,
Yeah,
so.
but I was going to do this earlier, but it seemed like we had to wait because I'm just wondering if that can shift up to the money talk that we were having.
So
before.
financial impact with comprehensive multi-year projections? Or there was another one as well on,
Also, can the person managing the screen make it a little bit bigger so that I can?
can you make it a
actually see the
little larger?
words? Thank you. Thanks so much.
So we got financial impact with comprehensive multi-year projections.
I feel like I'm like arguing for my own thing. I feel like my thought process, like what was missing was like the financial piece to it. So if we are having financial impact, like I feel like part of that is related to renovation of buildings. I had another word on there, but it was
We-
over 6, so I
We can
didn't
keep it
use
separate. You don't have to
but
argue to keep it
savings.
on.
Yeah.
So it's on.
So I would be okay also to slide it up there.
Are you
but-
okay with sliding it up?
Yeah.
And combining it, okay. So this one we will, this one is included in the previous one. Thank you for that. Thank you for offering that. Number 17, toolkit for staff and administrators to communicate with families. I thought we had that one already. Okay, so I think we were all clear that that was separate from the previous communications. Any other questions about that one? Because we've talked about that one
Maybe
already.
we change families to community.
Toolkit for staff and administrators to communicate with and change families to community, which would be encompassing of the entire community and families. Grade bands to focus student supports, number 18. Any questions with that one? All right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I'm not quite sure what that means.
Our new configuration, by changing the configuration to what we're talking about, will mean that we'll be able to support students in the right way because they'll be getting what they really deserve to get in those grade bands.
So grade band specific student supports.
Student support by their grades, yes.
Yeah,
the grade
okay.
levels.
I got it.
Again, trying to get the words in by 6 words.
I know.
Increased community engagement. Any questions about what that means?
Is this?
No questions, but would that be similar to the, like, number 7
The
or 8?
community engagement plan, yeah. Yeah.
So we've
Number
got
8, yeah.
community-led engagement and outreach plan, number 8. Mr. Udine, I think that one was yours. Are you comfortable with community-led engagement and outreach?
That was Devin's.
Oh, that was. No, I'm saying the one at the bottom, the one that we're merging, down at the bottom. Increased community engagement, I believe that was yours, Mr. Udine, and are you comfortable?
Yes, it was.
Are you comfortable with that being similar to community-led engagement and outreach plan?
For now, yes.
Okay. All right, and then last is improved data transmission to the board. I think that's unique. Yep, that was Mr. Udine. Any questions about that one? Any questions? All right. If not, we will now renumber these. So we'll take out the ones in red or just slide them down, if you give us a second to do that. What I need you to do is pull out your pieces of paper. And what we're going to ask you to do is vote on each one of these, 1 through, and we'll scroll up and down so you have a chance to read through all of them. You're not going to provide an individual vote, and I'll tell you what we'll go through a process, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. The first step of the process will be, we're going to ask you to prioritize by placing 15 points on the item that you think is most important to include, 10 points on the item you think is second most to include, 5 points on the item you think is third most to include. So you're going to do 10, 15, 10, and 5. And each of you will get to distribute those 15, 10, and 5 on any of the items you want. So you got 3 votes, 15 votes on the thing that you think is most important, 10 on the second, 5 on the third. Remember I shared earlier, don't worry, every single item will be considered, but don't worry, everything that you put in that paper and in here will be considered. But for now, what we'd like to do is get a priority, what's the board's priority. So if you could take a moment to write down, all you need to do is write down number 1, 15, number 6, 10, number 3, 5. Or you might not write down number 9, 15, number 6, 10, number 12, 5. Does that make sense to everyone?
No,
It does.
I'm
Well,
confused.
but there is a number missing between 7 and 8. There is the financial impact that does not have a number.
There's 2 lines.
It's 2 lines.
So the
No,
parentheses.
the community-led engagement was, there we go. That makes it better.
Does that help?
No, now it's gone altogether.
No, there we go.
There we go.
All right, we will scroll up and down. We recognize that
Yeah,
you can't get all of these on one screen, so we'll scroll up and down and give you a chance to look through them.
we're only picking 3.
Pick 3, you got
And then the
15.
first one, I understand the points, but
Yep.
just, you started doing some other numbering, and I'm only picking 3.
You're picking the number, so you're picking the item number. You don't have to pick the whole
Oh, okay,
sentence. Just pick
okay.
the item number. On item number 6, I'm putting 15.
Okay,
On item number 3, I'm putting 10. On item number 14, I'm putting 5.
yeah, I picked the number first, and then my first,
Pick the-
second, and third choices
Pick the
get
number
those
first,
points.
and then how many points you want to give it.
Gotcha.
Is that, she shrunk the font, but can you all read that from here? All right, you got to make it a little bigger, and then because we're a long way from the screen here in the room. So if you can make it a little bigger while we make the selections, and then we can shrink it. Perfect, thank you. And you'll also have to scroll back and forth between items, yes, so we can see item 1. So stay here for a few minutes and then we'll scroll down. So we'll take a minute to look at this one, then we'll scroll down, then we'll scroll back.
Could you scroll down, please?
Sorry, I turned towards you.
Is 16 the last one?
It is.
Yes, 16 is the last one. No problem. Does anyone need to see 1, 2, and 3 again? All right. Can I get a thumbs up when you're ready? Got 1. You give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Thank you. Thank you, Director Petrosky. It's perfect. And it went across my screen, so it made it easier to see. Thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you. Good. You need to see 1, 2, and 3. Can we scroll down so we can see 1, 2, and 3 once more? Yep, thank you. Good. Mr. Udine, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So I will go ahead and begin. I think it's a thumbs up from everyone. I will begin. Well, actually, no, I will wait. So I'll start to my left and we'll work around. All you need to do, and Alka, I think you're typing. You can go ahead and shrink it now, Alka, so that you can see everything on the screen. We don't need to see them anymore. Yep, perfect. Now we can drop in the vote. So simply call out the number and the number of points. So all you need to do is call out the number and the number of points, and you can do all three of them at the same time. So what's your number 15? What's your number 10? What's your number 5? I will start to my left.
Okay, so item number 1 is 15, item 3 is 10, item 8 is 5.
So that's 1, 3, 8. Go ahead. You need your microphone is. Yep.
Sorry. Number 8, 15, 12, 10, and 7, 5.
You put in 10 instead of 1, so it should be 1. Yep. Perfect.
All right,
Ben, do you want to type or do you want me to type?
Beg pardon?
Can we just do that last one once more, please?
No, I think you got them all. You want to go through them one more time?
Yeah, the numbers are changing. They should be 15, 10, and 5 should be in the columns, but they're changing on me.
We see, what was yours? 1? Yeah, nobody else is typing, are you? You're typing? Oh, okay.
I was
all right.
typing because they're
One-time
multiplying.
typing.
It needs to
Okay.
be ones.
Okay, got it.
Do I need to say again?
I think we're good, Ray.
Okay. Yep, I think you're good.
Okay. So number 2 is 15. Number 8 is 10. Number 11 is 5.
Do you want me to go? She-
All right, we ready, Alka?
Number
right.
1 is 5, number 5 is 10, and number 11 is 15.
Number 5 is 10, and number 11 is 15. Director Wilson.
Number 4 is 3.
Number 4, wait. Number
Am
4
I
is,
doing it backwards?
No,
Yeah.
it's just 5 points, not 3.
Oh, sorry. Number 4 is 5.
number 4 is 5.
Number 9 is 10.
Number 9 is 10,
And number 12 is 15.
and number 12 is 15. Got it.
I know what I did.
Number 1 is 15. Number 2 is 10. Number 5 is 5.
Thank you very much. Online, Director Petrowski.
Yes. Number 2 for 15. Number 9 for 10. And number 7, number 7 for 5.
Okay, got it. And then online, Director Udine.
Number 6 is 15. Number 13 is 10. And number 16 is 5.
All right, thank you very much. Are we missing anyone? All right, we'll now do a sort of these items. So we're going to sort these items and let you look at how the board voted, top to bottom. I got to make sure we capture everything, or yeah, you got it. You go ahead and put the filter on. We'll sort these items to let you see how you've captured everything, and then we're going to take one last step. So you've got a rank order now of the things that you as a board think are most to least important of all the individual items that you suggested. This is what the board collectively thinks is a priority. Out of those priorities, we're going to do a couple of things. The first of which is we're still not at the place where we can transmit this understanding to the superintendent, because each of these items requires a majority of the board to say, yes, I think that is important. You don't have necessarily a majority of the board. I'll give you an example. On item number 1, the one that was the most important, you've got 2 people who said it was 15, 1 person who said it was 10, so you've got 3 board members. But now what we need is 5 board members to agree that that is important for us to transmit. Does that make sense? Secondly, with the second one, you've got 3 board members. We want to make sure that 5 board members agree that that is important to transmit. And then we'll go through each one of them. We'll take the ones that are 20 or above to start. And then we'll just make sure we have a thumbs up. We aren't going to take a formal vote on each one, but I want to make sure we get at least 5 board members to say, yes, we as a group, as a collective, want to transmit that to the district. Does that make sense to everyone? Thumbs up. All right. So we'll take the first one, updated staffing projections to support implementation. Can I get a thumbs up from board members on whether or not they think that's important to transmit? And online, we'll need a thumbs up and then thumbs down for each of you. Perfect. Thank you, Director Petrowski. And Mr. Udine, I'm looking at my calendar. Both Ben and I are looking at our screens. So if you just want to flash a thumbs up in front of your camera, that'll give us a good count. So updated district and staffing projections to support implementation. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't see Mr. Udine's, but we got a board majority, so perfect. So let the record reflect that a majority of the board agree with that one. Number 2, realistic timeline to articulate early wins. That was the second most voted for item. So realistic timeline that articulates early wins, benefits year 0, year 1, year 2, year 3. Thumbs up from board members on whether that is important to transmit to the superintendent. So I've got 4, 5, 6. Ben, I can't see online, but we've got a board majority.
Do you plan to communicate the prioritization of all of them or just a few of them?
As I shared earlier, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go through the ones that got the top votes, 20 or more, and then we will still open the floor for the board to decide whether some of the ones that only got 1 vote or 2 votes are important enough to include. So we won't exclude anything. Not at this point, but we'll need a board majority moving forward. All right, the next one, financial impact that with a comprehensive multi-year projections, including cost of renovations to each building. Thumbs up or thumbs down. And again, you don't have to agree with everything. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got 4 on that one. Mr. Udine and Ms. Petrowski. Oh, I'm sorry, 5. So we got 5. So we have a board majority of 5 on that one. Clearly identified attendance zones plus feeder patterns. We got 3, 4, 5. All right, so we got 5 on that one. Clear comprehensive transportation plan. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5. And clear indication of how the plan will improve students' experience. We have 3. So we have 3 here in the room. Ms. Petrowski or Mr. Udine, would either of you like to support including in the districts, what gets communicated to the district, that a clear indication of how the plan will improve students' experience is important? All right, seeing none, that does not raise to a board majority. Say again?
There just wasn't clarity about this room.
Wasn't clear about this room. So in the room, I don't see two online, support our clear indication of how the plan will improve students' experience.
I'll go with it this time, because it's not the
Still got
exact word
three.
that I like, but I kind
All
of.
right, I got 4. Went from 3 to 4, but we still do not have a board majority. All right. Here- We have 5. All right. So we change that to a 5. All right. Now, for the other items, as we go to the other items, we want to do the same process. However, those of you who individually voted for them or those of you who authored them, what we want to do here is ask you to identify, now that we've got the board's priorities identified, is there something else that did not rise to the level of a priority that you want to make sure the board has an opportunity to see if you can get 5 votes for? Does that question make sense? So now it's suggesting items off of the list that you want to check for board support for with at least 5 members of the board.
Yes, number 6.
Number 6, addressing how the plan will support eliminating academic disparities. So number 6, individual board members, thumbs up or thumbs down. Are you
Before-
interested in making sure that is included in the district's plan?
Before we vote on that one, I think that the item above it, support for our highest needs students, Mr. Dean, and correct me if you disagree, but I think that that the number 5, support for our highest needs students, is potentially a more concrete way of addressing number 6 of how the plan will support eliminating academic disparities, because to me, if we're supporting our highest needs students, that's also resourcing for eliminating academic disparities. And I would also argue that support for our highest needs students would also address, the item right, we've got those 3 right in the middle that I think are similar. So support for our highest needs students, addressing how the plan will eliminate academic disparities, and evidence that resources will be distributed equitably. To me, I feel like we could combine the 3 of those into one item, and then we could get a board vote on the 3 of those, because I think that those 3 are addressing very similar things, but from slightly different angles. So I'd be open to workshopping the wording of those to get one that we can all agree on and move that across the finish line.
So, Mr. Udine, you've got, I believe you authored addressing how the plan will support eliminating academic disparities. You would have to agree that would be able to be merged with number 5.
I gave it thumbs up.
Thumbs up? Okay. Who authored number 3? So you would have to agree that number 3 echoes the same sentiment in number 5. You agree? Okay. And so if that's the case, does number 5, supporting our highest needs students, i.e. African American, and should we add the wording in front of it, addressing how the plan will support our highest needs students for clarity? So addressing how the plan will support our highest needs students, i.e. the examples that were provided. And thumbs up, thumbs down. Do board members support that being added? All right, we've got 6 here. Any online? 7, I see Mr. Udine's thumbs up. So we've got 7 on that one. 8. So all 8. So 8 of the 8, all 8
Can-
board members.
Can I suggest that we say, are the students who are facing the greatest challenges? Because high need to me seems a little like they have high needs, actually they have challenges that we have not addressed, like we have not done a good job by them. So,
I support that.
yeah,
I'm okay with
I
that.
would rather, who face the greatest barriers, who face
Okay.
the,
So students who face the greatest barriers.
who we've historically not
Greatest
served.
challenges, leave it challenges, leave it challenges.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alka.
I'm okay with that. Thanks.
All right. Are there any other items of the ones that have not been included that the board or individual board members would like your peers to consider adding to the list?
I think we have to, and I can't see, 'cause I'm old.
Can you zoom in a little bit? Sorry.
We have to make sure that we have an item that addresses community input, how we're going to engage the community throughout the plan. That has clearly been an area where we've had significant challenges.
So you don't, it's not necessary to include it, it's only if the board as a whole feels
Right.
that it is necessary to include it. So it is not necessary to include it, but if you want to lift that one up, so are you referring to number 7?
Yeah, number 7, like number 7 sort of combined with 14, and there was one other one, wasn't there? Yeah, I don't know.
So maybe can we combine 7 and 14 to community-led engagement and outreach plan and toolkit? That's a lot of
So-
things, but
And I want to caution you on doing that because,
Yeah,
for a couple of
it's a
reasons.
lot of things.
One, we gave you an opportunity to combine things earlier. I'm letting you go back and combine some things now for clarity. If everything is important, then nothing's important. And so if you as a board vote, okay, no, we want everything to go back to the district, then you're going to extend, and we'll ask the superintendent's team what this means, just in terms of timeline at the end of the process. But you're going to extend the timeline, the process, the report, the whole thing. So you want to make sure that you prioritize. Here's what we think is really important, not that we throw everything on the list.
So, thank you for lifting that up because communications is the word that I was thinking in terms of why that was important for me. So, because I see engagement and outreach as similar tasks, could we do a word change to like communication so that could include a toolkit? Which is,
This is number 7.
yes.
So the community-led communication plan, is that what you're suggesting?
Well, community-led engagement and community,
And communication plan?
or we could keep outreach too and add communication, because I think that is a part of it, and community also helps with that.
All right. And that was, you authored that one, right?
Yes, I did.
So community-led engagement and communication plan.
So community-led engagement, outreach, and communication. If you want to use comments.
Yeah, but that's fine too. I'm okay with keeping outreach and then adding a comma before and.
So we can make that one red.
We can make it more than 6 words.
So community-led engagement, outreach, and communication plan. So we just need to add outreach, Alka. Thumbs up or thumbs down from board members? Do you think that is important to communicate to the district? We got 5, 6, 7. Okay, we got 7 on that one. Anything else need to be pulled off of the list that you want your colleagues to consider?
Yes. Number 13, I think we have to address physical violence as part of the school culture.
All right, members of the board, number 13 has been lifted up. Vote thumbs up, thumbs down. Do we have 5 individuals that think eliminating physical violence disparities is important to include?
So it would be a plan to eliminate physical violence disparities, right? That's what we would be
So
asking
a
the
plan to
district
eliminate physical
present.
violence disparities.
Yeah, but I would try to clarify, we're not just talking about disparities, we're talking about the incidents and the culture of physical violence.
Okay? So the plan would address the incidents and the culture of physical violence. Board members, thumbs up, thumbs down. Do we have 5 individuals who want to include that in what's communicated to the superintendent?
I would want to include something that gets to school culture that would include physical violence, and like we can't include everything, so I don't know.
So right now, we're addressing this one. I'll give you a second to go back. So we will in just a second. So I think we'll hold on that one, but let's address this one first. Mr. Udun, I didn't see if your hand went up or down, but I'm assuming since you lifted it up, you would be a thumbs up. Anyone else? So we got 2. So 2 board members, thumbs up. So that one, so Mr. Udun got your thumbs up. So we got 2 board members who agreed that would need to be transmitted to the superintendent. So that one will not make the communication. All right. Anything else that board members believe should be lifted out of this list for all the board to consider?
Number 16.
Number 16. And number 16 says, I can't see number 16, so I have to scroll down a little bit.
Yeah, we're talking about the
I got
information.
it. Improved data transmission to the board. Sorry about that, Alka.
Yes.
Improved data transmission to the board. So we've, Mr. Udine has lifted that up. Do we have thumbs up, thumbs down? 5 board members who would agree that needs to be communicated to the superintendent and his team to include in the plan.
I would want to include it, but not necessarily as part of this plan, but I do agree that.
So is that a thumbs up or a
Having
thumb or no? Just, okay. So we only have 1, so that one does not get included. Anyone else? Any other things? All right. Last but not least, that is everything that is on this list, unless someone else has something else they want to lift up. Right now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things that you think are important to include in the plan. Does anyone else, in anything that you suggested to the staff, does anyone else think that there's anything else that needs to be communicated and be a part of this plan that you want your colleagues to consider?
Yes. I think that all of the items on this list that do not necessarily get lifted up as priorities need to be kept on the list, perhaps at the end, but we don't need to eliminate any of them completely.
So, Mr. Udine, I think I want to be clear that we won't eliminate the items. We've kept them. We've hidden them for now. However, these items will not be communicated as expectations of the staff for what they include in their report. Anything that gets communicated to the staff as expectations for what get communicated in the report would require a majority of the board. We're doing kind of a straw vote this evening so we could get to your priorities. But there is the possibility of going back. But just understand that these things that have been articulated are the things that will be shared with the system. Others won't be included in the plan. So the board as a whole has to speak as one. I just want to make sure that's clear. Any questions? I'll give the superintendent, I'll ask about any questions about the process. And you have one more? You say you have one more?
Yeah, I
But
had one
before
more
you do,
to
let
not
me,
vote
let me,
on, of
let me put
course.
the,
Yeah.
Mr. Walters, we'll give you an opportunity, we'll take this one additional idea, but we'll give you an opportunity at the end of this process to ask two questions. We'll ask you first if there's anything in these priorities that is not clear to you, so that you and your team can make sure you're clear. It doesn't preclude you from asking that question later, even after you get into the process. So it doesn't preclude you from asking that question later, but just want to get your feedback here. The second thing, either for tonight or moving forward, is if you'd like to share anything with the members of the board about what the ongoing cost, either financial or time-wise, will be for any of these, but we won't ask you, you don't have to address that this evening. But we'll take this last idea and then we'll turn to you just for comments and feedback as you transition this work to your team.
Because this is one of our opportunities to really get into these ideas and discuss them in this way and in a public meeting. I wanted to lift up, I'm not asking for a vote on this, but I wanted to lift up the importance of the new schedules that the reconfiguration will support. An example of one way that new schedules could be benefiting our students that is not something that I have seen communicated yet is, with all these changes that we're making, to what extent are we making it possible that, for example, our high schools could start later, our elementary schools could start earlier, things of that nature. So I wanted to lift that up. I'm not asking for a vote on the reconfiguration schedule, but wanted to note that as a potential way of communicating benefits to our community.
So was that wasn't that one of the items?
Yeah, one of the items that it didn't fall.
didn't make the list?
Yeah, it didn't make the
Okay.
list, but I wanted to lift that up as something that I thought was important, that we didn't have a chance to fully discuss.
So are you asking that the board do a thumbs up?
I'm not, I wanted to simply lift it up into the space
Okay.
with this
So
opportunity.
so
What
it
is
won't be
it that's being
communicated in
lifted
what
up?
gets, all right. So
I understand the
okay.
implications.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
What is it? I don't. What is it that's being lifted up?
What was it that I was speaking to?
Yes.
I was speaking to, right, so we're making all of these changes. And so some of the things that we are asking of Dr. Walters and his team is really around how things are communicated. We're also asking for particular content of that communication. One of the items that we did not vote on because we didn't do a thumbs up or down on because it didn't rise to the surface, was around the new schedules for the reconfigured schools. So going to a standard K-5, 6, 8, 9, 12. And I was lifting up an example of a potential benefit to our community could be if in that reconfiguration, we are deciding, and I don't know the answer to this because I haven't seen it, that we are deciding to follow research-based practices around a later start time for high schools, as an example. And if that's something that we're looking to do, that would be an example of a benefit to our community to articulate. So I was lifting it up as an example. I'm not asking for a vote on that item.
Okay. So since we're not taking a vote on that item, kind of clear, it won't be communicated to the district that it's an expectation for the plan. Two things. The first of which is, as next steps, and Ben and I can work with you on this, but the board should now kind of clearly articulate these 8 items to the superintendent, and it's the board's request now, the superintendent, that these 8 items be addressed moving forward in that implementation plan. Thank you for going through the process. Mr. Superintendent, well, before I do, Mr. Superintendent, Ben, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I want to ask one question of the board on 3 of these. We mentioned clearly, and clearly is a subjective word. So I'm curious, looking at each of these 4, 5, and 6, what specifically is meant and communicated by clearly versus simply saying we need to see the identified attendance zones and feeder pattern?
And Ben, would that also, then, would that also, not to pick, I'm not trying to pick on you, Yael, but would that also then also speak to the term realistic?
Yes, but I was starting with the one with 3 subjective terms. And I think like where I would push is it's definitely the board needs to be concrete and clear about what is expected. So for instance, a timeline is very concrete, but realistic is now interpretive. Same with clearly. Identified attendance zones and feeder pattern is concrete, but clearly is subjective and interpretive. And so that's where I would push on all of those. Is there anything that is not captured by identified attendance zones and feeder patterns that the board needs to specifically articulate to be clear about it, as opposed to saying clearly and hoping the administration has the same understanding? Or it might be identified attendance zones and feeder patterns is clear. We just need to see them.
Clearly can be deleted. I put that in there trying to get my 6 words.
So you try to get it up to 6 words. It was maximum of 6.
Does anyone feel otherwise on any of the other ones that say realistic or clear?
Well, I'm wondering for identified attendance zones and feeder patterns, I would offer the language of like with a corresponding rationale, like that it's not just here's what it is, but also the why of it, so that the part that is clear is the rationale for me.
Thank you for that. That's much more helpful and concrete. Does anyone feel differently about that, or is that helpful?
I think that would work for most of those that have kind of the subjective terminology in it. So like a timeline that articulates with, with rationale, or, I don't think you need that rationale in that one, but I think that would fit each of them, and I'd feel comfortable with that.
All right. Anything else, Ben?
Yes,
Oh.
I have a question about number 7. I think that a majority of the board recognizes and supports that proportionate support needs to be focused on students with the greatest, we say greatest challenges. I guess we're talking about with the lowest academic performance. And if so, then perhaps I'd like to see number 7 merged with something that's above. But clearly, I think we're all agree that the students with the lowest performance and attendance needs to be articulated as a priority.
Yeah.
If we don't,
Yeah, I can jump in there, Mr. Dean, since that was the one that I proposed. So for students facing greatest challenges, that may include students who perform poorly academically, but some of our students with IEPs or English language learners may not perform poorly, but that doesn't mean that they don't need additional support in order to succeed in school, whether that's paraprofessionals or translators or things like that. So I would want to keep it as students facing challenges, because it's not necessarily that those students perform poorly academically, but it's that they have challenges that require the school district to provide additional support to them. Does that clarify the intent of that number?
Mr. Udine, I would offer as well, even we talked about economically disadvantaged students. You may have an economically disadvantaged student who is the valedictorian of their class, but they still be a student with facing greatest challenges because of their economic disadvantage. So it may not necessarily be your lowest performing students.
well, then we need to add them both, but I don't want to turn our backs on the fact that African-American students disproportionately perform below standards. So that's why I want to try to include it with something that's already a priority, and we cannot turn our backs on the fact that African American students academically perform at a lower level than we wish, and that they require and deserve contact or special attention.
So, Mr. Udine, this in the IE, at the end of this, number 7, it includes African-American students in the example. Are you suggesting that we remove academic students from that example?
No.
So we've included African-American students here. Are you suggesting we exclude them?
No, they just seem to drop out of the prioritization, and I don't think that's our intention.
It's actually first in the prioritization in this list. On
It is
number
first?
7?
Yeah,
It's first. It's the African-American students are the first. We just changed it from AA to African-American, but it was there as AA. So it was first in the list.
then let it stay first.
Okay. All right. We'll turn now to Superintendent Walters. Any questions, any clarity that you may need on any of these items for you or your team? Again, I want to reiterate before he shares that this does not necessarily, because the board has communicated this with the superintendent, this is what you're hoping is in the plan. There may be things that are in the plan that can't answer all of your questions, but this is what you're asking the superintendent. What you will then get is an explanation of, we tried to do this, we can't do it at this time, et cetera, but this is you clearly articulating, here's our priorities that we'd like to include in the plan. Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you. Thank you, Board, and thank you, Mr. Hart, for facilitating this conversation. So the first one, my question about updated district staffing projections to support implementation. My question is that just our general view of, based on the projections that we have in schools, what that staffing would look like to support implementation? Or is it speaking about the tactical moves that have to happen that are collectively bargained regarding staff projections and movement in schools?
I have one example is that comes to mind that came directly from community members. Is a big part of the reconfiguration plan is promoting world language, and so not necessarily the who is going to be teaching, but what is the strategy? Like how can we feel assured that we will be able to secure teachers with those credentials to support that program? I can only speak for myself.
Yeah, and to be more general, to me, this item is, if we're reconfiguring X school to have this many students in these grade levels, how many, talking about middle school, how many 6th grade teachers do we anticipate, how many 7th? For me, that's what this means, is an estimate of how many principals, assistant principals, and teachers and support staff we will need per building, to the extent possible, realizing that some of that minutia may not be available. And then I also want to remind us that we included staffing projections for your administrative office. So who will be the leads here in terms of managing this transition, and what staff time from the central administration office will be allocated to supporting the transition and the Future Ready plan.
Or needed external supports, right? So this is not just about the school level staffing that's going to be needed once changes are made, but like what are the resources from a human capital perspective that will be needed to actually put this plan into place once it's approved?
Does that help clarify, Mr. Superintendent?
Yes, I may have some other questions once we talk to our team, but I'll receive that for now. second question that I have, when it says community-led engagement, outreach, and communication plan, so I understand the outreach and the communication plan, but is the ask of how will we create spaces for community to lead engagement? Or is it that the ask is for the district to communicate opportunities to engage with the community? And I wasn't sure which one that was. Because if you're asking us to do community-led engagement, are you asking us how do we create a space for community to lead engagement? So I get the outreach and the communications plan, but when it said community-led engagement, is it that we are creating a plan for community to lead some level of engagement? And if so, engagement on what? Is it engagement to understand without the administration supporting that understanding, or is it just community-led engagement to do what?
If I may offer an interpretation that may help, but just changing a word that may clarify, and then I think you authored it, I can't remember who authored it, but is it possible to say community-informed engagement and outreach communication plan, so that it's the district's communication plan, but you want to make sure the district receives community feedback from the community in developing that plan?
No,
Okay.
and I'll tell you why. I think successful schools and school environments benefit when there's community wisdom mixed with academic expertise. And I think when we leave the community out of being a part of how we unfold things or how we communicate things, that's your biggest asset. When we reopened schools from COVID, we had a community-led process where we worked directly with and had community at the front of the table, the front of the conversation. That's what we have not done in this process, and I think it's been our biggest criticism, is that the community, we've been pulling community behind. I think community needs to, we use our assets, lead with our ACEs, and utilize the community to be able to start to push out information. So there's a role that the administration has, and I think you all coming up with a plan, but then how do you utilize community to be able to help execute that plan? Knowing that those are your ACEs. Those are the people who, can help you reach the people who, or help you connect with the people who we don't connect with, or help us to be able to, we might need those community supports, our partners, to be able to execute some of this transition. So I think if it's to inform them, we inform them. We should continue to inform them, but they need to also have stake in how things move forward.
Yeah, by informed, I mean the community informs the district on what should be in the plan. So just to clarify, did that explanation help you? And since we're now redefining this a bit, I want to make sure the board is clear on what you actually voted to support as we go through this process.
So yeah, I heard what Ms. Talaferro said, but that really wasn't my question. It wasn't whether I'm against community being a part of the engagement process or giving us information. My question was, when it said community-led engagement, is it to just have community lead, or do you want administration to support the community in leading engagement? That was my question.
You making the question complicated.
I'm seeking understanding, so that's why I'm asking a question.
If I may, Ms. Talaferro, whose plan in writing this, who owns this plan in your mind?
Well, it's the administration's plan, but
Okay.
how it gets executed is, I think, a benefit, having the community be a part of that process, not just asking them what they want. We've been asking them, all kinds of meetings, asking them what they want. At this point in the plan, it's now how can they be our partners in executing said plan?
Mr. Walters, did that help clarify?
No, but I'll pause here because I think we're on, I don't think I'm,
If I can go back though, like you're focusing on the words in order that community-led engagement. That part it's so much, it's not so much just the engagement piece. Where is community at the front of how we engage, how we do outreach, and how we communicate this plan, and how we execute the ultimate plan.
yes, so let me try again. So I believe that community are our partners in execution of the plan. I guess my question was, when it said community-led, my question was, are we to execute or create an implementation plan where community will lead? Or are you asking for administration to provide guidance in supporting deeper community partnerships and engagement in the development of the plan?
Maybe it's both.
Okay. If it's both, I'm not sure how to navigate both.
So, because are you asking the district to tell the community to go communicate the plan? I'm,
This is becoming more complicated than it should be. So to be able to get this, to be able to have a plan that is executed, I believe that the community needs to be at the front of how we do that and utilizing them. Whether it's to communicate with other families or community members or other stakeholders, or whether it is to be able to help with pieces of the plan of executing or implementing the plan.
If I
It
may
sounds
sum-
like, you can tell me if I'm wrong, Ms. Talaferro. It sounds like you're trying to find a way for, once we have a presented plan, to then pull community in to create buy-in within their individual communities around the implementation so that there increases success? Or am I off?
Well, I mean, yes, I believe that having having community members a part of the process and how we execute and implement this plan, like, does ultimately create buy-in, because they're able to reach people that, we're not reaching, or we may not be reaching. But also it allows them to, like, drive how this can go, as opposed to being dragged behind.
Right, so you're not asking to do a whole community process around how we create the implementation plan, but just a process on how we partner with community to actually do the work.
Yes. And then communicating that, being a part of the greater communication plan that needs to happen.
I understand that
Since we
explanation.
merged.
With
Okay.
that, if that is what it is, I understand that explanation.
okay, all right. So we'll do a couple of things. Any other questions?
I will stop
Yeah,
now.
I just want to comment on the last conversation around community engagement. I think the community-led wording took us off the rails. I think that the community, especially the community that represents the students with the greatest need, those communities have the least engagement in the school district and in the process of educating the children. We have to find a way for community to be engaged at every level, especially those community members that represent students with the highest need. And we changed that to African American Economic Disparity, IEPs, ELL. But the point is that the community, we have to have a school district that has significant community engagement in everything that we're doing. And right now, we don't have that.
So So thank you for sharing that. So what we'll do then is, with that clarification, we won't try to wordsmith it and get all the words right tonight. What we will do is take all 8 back. So we will take all 8 back. We will clarify the wording, the language, and then bring it back to the board to officially convey through a board vote to the superintendent that these are the 8 things we want. But we'll bring that back at a later date and a later time so it can be on the agenda. And you'll get to see the clarification, see the wording ahead of time. We will also work with the board to make sure you get your language right, not transmit it to the administration and have them try to figure out exactly what the language should be. So we'll work with the board to make sure you get the language exactly as it is to be transmitted to the superintendent and team. Other questions about the process, about where you've been?
I have a question
where you're
for the
going? Yes, sir.
superintendent. I think that it would be helpful for the superintendent to be clear about what information is communicated on a regular basis from the superintendent's office to the board about all aspects of how the district is performing, and especially how the implementation of this new plan, how it's going. And I'd like to know from the superintendent what your thoughts are about what information needs to be regularly submitted to the board and how that information is currently being submitted. If the board is satisfied with the information that is regularly submitted, then that's fine. I'll withdraw. But I think this is an opportunity for the board to more clearly communicate to the superintendent what our expectations are for what information is submitted to the board, and how that information is submitted to the board.
So, Mr. Dean, I think, and I'll let you address this, but there's second item says a timeline that articulates early wins, year 0, year 1, year 2, and rationale. So I think what you're articulating is that you want to, there are things that you'll look for in that timeline, but I think making sure that the district has an opportunity to create that timeline first, so that you understand here's what will be communicated when to the board, et cetera, will be covered in the timeline. If not, it'll give you an opportunity to either vote the report up or down if the timeline doesn't meet your needs. But there is an item that clearly says a timeline that articulates.
I'm not talking about a timeline. I'm talking about the information itself that the superintendent knows is a priority of the board, that gets regularly communicated to the board, and how that information is submitted. Right now, we get like a weekly update. I'd like to know from the superintendent if he thinks that regular update includes enough information and data to inform the board as to how the district is performing.
So, Mr. Dean, to answer your question, what I send to the board weekly is not specifically always about student outcomes. What we ventured on this year, beginning in November, were goal monitoring meetings that were specific to goals that I had created and that were approved by the board to move forward with, specifically with third grade reading, third grade mathematics, ninth grade biology, and graduation rates. Every month, that process involved not only a presentation formally to the public, but also a submission of around a 5 to 6 page document of that information, the PowerPoint presentation, and the actual presentation when I stood before the board. and the board was invited to engage in a conversation about goal monitoring. Weekly, I would not be able to share different data weekly about student progress. So what we have decided upon through the support of the Council of Great City Schools is to have monthly goal monitoring conversations. And so we've done that monthly beginning last November as a new cultural shift to focus us on student outcomes and data. So ends my response.
All right, any other questions? Any other questions about next steps of the process? So thank you very much. Thank you for allowing us to be here. One of the things we wanted to do, just so you know, is get the board to board as a unit, and speak as one to the superintendent about what your expectations are in the plan. We hope we've helped you prioritize those things that need to go into the plan, recognizing that this is an important part of the work that you do. The other thing I just want to acknowledge, and thank you all very much, but what you've just done as well is gone through the process of making sure the board speaks as a unit rather than individual board members, which is critical to the governance process. And so thank you, and I'll turn things over to President Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. You know, I want to thank my board colleagues for engaging in this process. You know, I think when we started, 2 weeks ago, right, we started with 100 items. Lots of them were similar. You know, some of them were personal, and I think those personal items will at some point need, some of them will need to be addressed because they're shared by more than just one or two of us, because this is a personal process, not just for us as board members, but for the families that we represent, the students that go to our schools. But ultimately, I want to thank you all for helping us to get to a point where I think we can, we will soon be able to clearly identify what our priorities are for moving forward, so that the superintendent can and his team can move freely and with understanding of what is expected of them. So thank you for that. Thank you, Ray and Ben. A week ago, I thought I was going to be able to manage this meeting by myself. Smarter folks reminded me that probably wasn't a good idea, and so I'm glad you guys were here, because I sensed this meeting would have gone very differently. And I'm okay admitting that I think I would have butchered this one. So thank you all for guiding us through this, not just today, but the work that we did on Saturday that we're looking forward to sharing with the public soon, as well around our goals and guardrails, to help inform the superintendent's work going forward. So thank you all very much. And with that, this meeting is adjourned, and we will see you all tomorrow. If you're driving, drive safe. I think the president is gone, so the streets should be clear.